Please welcome in the chat. Say, welcome, Jorge. Jorge Perez.
I feel cool. I felt like I just waiting for like fireworks behind me. Like I was
That's
in
the
that
part I
vibe.
haven't mastered yet, dude. I haven't gotten like down like the fireworks and explosions to happen, or I don't
That would give it like a whole nother vibe. Like people, yeah, yeah.
know. Full on rock concert style. So we're super
Yeah.
stoked to see what you've got for us. So I'm going to jump off and let you get started because I know you have quite a bit of haircutting to share with us. So I'll pop back on and harass you, though, I promise.
All right, cool. See you in a few. Hi guys, hope you guys are doing good. Hi, Twyla. Just sending a little love in the chat, you know. Well, today I'm going to be sharing with you an amazing cut. I'm a fan of Netflix. I think for this last year, everybody has been addicted to Netflix. If you agree with me, say yes on the chat. If you've been for the last year addicted to Netflix. So I will be sharing with you a nice cut inspired in the character from Money Heist Tokyo. So I got a quick show like what we're going to be working with today. Here it is. So if you're guys excited and ready to rock with this, right, let's go on the chat. So what I did to style, and I prepped my hair, I already pre-sectioned it. Let me just give it a nice turnaround so you guys can see the sectioning part. Awesome. So we're ready to start. I will be using my Sandvila. I'm loving this. I'm loving this. I will be using my white comb today also. And one of the most important things, I'm going to start from the get-go. You have to cut by heart. Be passionate about what you do. And when you cut, cut with intent. All right? So I'm going to be using my Redken One United, just to mist it a bit, because it's been waiting for a while for you guys. So I just mist it a bit so it could stay hydrated, the hair. What I'm going to do is I'm just combing it back just so like all that product could run through. I'm going to turn it to the back so you guys could see it a little bit better. I'm going to have a center section right at the middle. If you could see right here, there were two sections prior to that. And we're going to start right at the center. Can you see there well? Erase my hand. So we're going to start in that section. As you can see, the part of the nape is clipped out for a purpose. So let's get ready to it. So I'm going to be standing right directly behind it. And I'm going to elevate it 90 degrees from the base. That means if I'm working on the back of the head, the hair will be pointing towards my chest. So I clean it up. I'm ready to go. As you see, my finger is in a 90 degree angle pointing to the ceiling. I remove it and I'm ready to go. As you see, I'm cutting slightly bit by bit, but I'm going short right on the center. This will be my guideline, what I will be doing for you guys could see better. I'm going to do a traveling guide. So I've started here in the center cutting, and I'm going to just over direct the section to the previous section I cut. Okay? So second section, I'm going to use a clip here. I'm using my Sandvila dry clip just to maintain cleanness so I could see what I'm working with. And I know where I'm placing the hair. So one of the always I like to tell people is when you're cutting hair, just clean out what you don't need and focus on where you're going to cut. This is a simple, but it helps you see what you're doing and maintains your area clean where you're cutting so hair won't flip to one side or the other, and then you get a cut. Now I'm going to ask you for a favor. If you say yes, I'll ask it. If you say no, I'll still ask it. But I would love, 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 love you guys to invite a couple of friends and while you guys invite them, share this. If you don't have friends to invite, just share this video so more people could share it. We share the love. As you can see, I'm already cutting. It's getting a little Nice love, nice shape. Now take my second section, I divide it, clip this away, push it to my previous section, give it that 90-degree elevation, check where my guideline, it's right there. I flip my comb, my shears. I'm still cutting. And as we keep eliminating, one thing I always like to do after I cut, I like to see where the hair lives and where it's placed so I can understand where I'm going and I can visually see what I am cutting, having an understanding of my end result. So I always recommend on my design classes, see the end result in the process. Like if I comb it, oh, okay, it's coming out perfect. Always be a step ahead of your end result. Like know where you're cutting, why are you cutting? Like I mentioned, slightly over direct back, just so we could gain a little bit of length so we could play with our design. Now we're one side done. I like to set it up to where I want it to be. Now I'm shifting to the opposite side. Hope you guys are seeing everything well. Take my clip. This is the area that I am not cutting. So let's clip it away. And I'm working with this section. If you guys could see, tell me yes if you guys are seeing everything perfectly. If you got any questions please write it on the chat. I'll be happy to answer. If not, I got a good friend in the background that Andrew will be happy to ask me if I miss out a question. So as I mentioned, I'm pulling back. I hope you could see that right here, there's my guideline. So I shift it and I'm cutting it away, releasing all this hair that I really don't want to get to the shape that I need. As you can see, I'm just adjusting, seeing where the hair is falling. Now, let me eliminate this. Got this here. Perfect. Bring that section over, direct it back. And I'm releasing the hair that I don't want. So, guys, how many of you or enjoying Samvila tools? I was a guy that was a little bit skeptical about shorter shears. As you can see, I got big hands. And I never thought that this shear would feel so comfortable. And it's been one of the funnest tools to work with. It cuts crazy. So I'm using, like I mentioned, my Samvila Artist Series. Awesome tools. I highly recommend it. So I'm shifting here, and this piece right here on the side, let me shift it a bit for your viewing sakes. I'm going to take a slight piece of the side. Let me see if you can see it there. This little piece will be my new guideline. And we're going to work on condensed cutting. So what is condensed cutting? This whole section right here, it's going to go out in 1 second. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my wide side of the comb and just make sure all those grains are upward. As you can see, I'm combing everything upward. Let me put my hand around so you can see it even better. I elevate it. Now that I got into the position where I want, I grab this small piece of hair right there. I hope you guys could see it. Let me flip it around a bit. Let me just come behind so you guys could see it slightly better. Let me adjust my mannequin so I could cut it. You guys don't want to see me cutting my finger off. That would be funny for YouTube, but I won't do it. Okay, so I got my guideline stuck right here in this piece. I could visually see it, and I'm going to point cut. Okay, one of the things I've learned along the way is when you're point cutting, there are different ways to do it. You could go straight, you could create angles. Now, one thing that I found interesting is where do you want the hair to move, right? If you want the hair to move forward, you are going to make those little peaks and valleys that you create when you're pointing, shifting to a direction. Let's just say, if I'm standing here and I want the hair to move forward to the face, I'm going to come from this position, right? If I want them to fall straight, I would cut them in a vertical line. Remember, when you're cutting, you have to be aware of what you're doing when you're working. So here, I'm just cutting this part. Okay, as you see, I have my hand very close to the scalp, and I'm cutting there because I'm creating that little sense of short to long. So I'm drifting that hair from a very short point to creating them long sides, okay? So right now I'm here. Oh, you're back.
Hi, Jorge. Yes.
Hey, got a question for me?
Yeah, so you basically have a stationary guide at the top, right? It's not a traveling guide.
When I'm connecting the back, you mentioned, I'm still not working on the top, I'm working on the sides. And I use a slight piece of the corner back just to have that guide so it could align and have the same length. As soon as I cut it, when I let this go, you could see it's still kind of long, but if I put it sideways so you could see it from the front, you could see that this side is very short. Let me explain it in another way. Let me push this girl a little bit to the side. And put this here. Right, and here we have a clear vision of the diagrams of how we're going to break down this cut, right? So as you could see, we started a section from the top of the head to the back of the ear. Usually here in San Vila, this section always goes behind the ear, but we're working on a shorter cut. We just left that quadrant and shifted that line a bit forward. We have 3 sections in the back. I know you didn't see the top one for purpose of cutting. So we're having this section right here. This part of the head, the nape, we're not going to touch it. Our cut is starting at this point. So our first cut, our cut was here. And we started traveling forward until we fulfilled that area and cut both sides of the back. Like you could see from a different angle right here. We started at the center and we started shifting that angle to the sides and cutting. We just started our whole cut in the part of the crown, underneath the crown of the head. Then we shifted to the sides on this area right here, where it's got the same color, change color, so you guys can appreciate it and see it better. We work that sides. We take a little piece of the hair from the back, and then we combed everything up. We combed everything up and just connected this area or this section here, close to this section, and we cut it on a pointing technique. You guys with me?
Looking good. Looking good.
Thanks, guys.
So that side area is elevated straight up towards the ceiling then.
Exactly, on a 90 degrees line. I'm going to repeat this side again because we still got hair on the other side of the head. Let me just shift this a little bit comb so our section will be clean. I will do it from the side and then I will cut it very quickly so you guys could see. As you can see, I'm standing on the opposite side, grab the section, and I'm going to elevate it fully upward. As you can see, it's in a 90-degree position. I'm taking all those grains of the hair, combing it up. I'm going to shift it again. See this back part right here? This little piece? This is my guideline. So I'm going to elevate it to that section, hold my fingers very close to the head, very close to the head. And I'm going to shift my body, elevate my elbow so you guys can appreciate it better. And I'm point cutting, releasing all that length that I don't want. Now, one of the things that's going to be fun about this cut is you guys will be able to use your creativity. What I mean by your creativity is that there's going to be a couple of pieces, like specifically this size, they're going to be visually cut. You won't have to actually use more sections. It's your creativity. This is just actually the base of the cut. So I want you guys to explore the opportunities of your visual creativity. I'm listing it again, once again, with United, just to maintain that hair damp and excellent for design. So I'm going to tilt the head slightly forward. And this is where we're going to connect the nape and the crown, okay? So I'm going to turn it back so you could visually see. I'm going to comb it to the sides because I want it to be clean. I'm going to take this section, elevate it upward. I'm going to shift it to the side so you can see better. Okay, so there is going to be a huge disconnection. As you can see, this piece right here is highly disconnected, right? So I'm going to connect from the lower end. That means the length where the perimeter exists. I'm going to elevate it. I'm going to have it slightly over directed and my hand in a 45-degree angle, right? And I'm going to cut upward to connect to the area where I first cut it. That means this would be this short part. Now, this is a good trick. When we point cut, this is something that sometimes occurs. If I go from the top, I will be creating, if you could see my shears, I'll be cutting in this position. Remember when I mentioned, it's called cut with intent and see what we're doing before we do it. If I cutting this way with the point looking to the floor, I will create, when the hair falls, I will create certain lines and you could visually see them like marcations. So to smooth it out, I'm going to regroup the hair. I'm going to point cut from the bottom up with the point of the shears looking upward. So that means when the hair falls, it would fall like into little drops. So it will be more softly blended. Okay. So I elevate it here. I'm coming from the bottom up and I'm releasing or detaching. I love these Samvila words. It makes you feel cool. So I'm detaching all that section and I just created a nice gathering and everything looks blended in. Because like I mentioned, I am thinking of what I'm going to cut and I'm visually seeing the end result. Now I come to my second section. Let me turn it around so you guys see it. There are going to be certain positions that I might look awkward, but I'm just trying to work these cuts for the benefit of your site so you could like really get this cut going, all right? So I hope you guys shared this and you guys really enjoying what I'm doing because I'm enjoying this a lot too. So this hair I won't be using, so I'm just going to comb it away, grab the section. Like I mentioned, this hair got caught up. Grab this section, elevate it. I got it locked in my hand. I'm going to change position so you guys could visually see better. I elevate it. Like I mentioned, my finger angle is in a 45-degree angle. And I'm going to point cut from the bottom up. My shears will be pointing to the corner top of the room. Okay? This will help you create a softer blend. Yeah, go
Jorge,
ahead,
this was
Andrew.
something that was so cool as you're showing that Jesse Linares brought to my attention to one time, where that point cut, sometimes we're not conscious of the direction that those points go. And like you were saying, if you're creating kind of like a shorter at the bottom to longer at the top with the angle of your shear, when that falls,
Sure.
it can kind of fall into sort of like a blocky piece if we're not careful. So by cutting from shorter at top to longer at the bottom, when that falls, it's much softer. And that was a huge aha moment for me just like last year. So that's super interesting.
It's something I did it by mistake. I didn't know that I actually like it just came out and I was like, but then like I said, when you cut with intent, I said, hey, this makes sense.
Yeah,
There are a lot of things that we do that we don't know why we do it. It works for us, but sometimes you got to step back and think about why you do it. And you, oh, this is something new. So I discovered this by mistake, and I think I saw it's very effective.
yeah, for sure.
So I'm going to continue.
Yeah,
Go
continue
ahead.
on. And as you're continuing, great question from Gabby, because I think this is a good point of these kinds of shapes are kind of crossing gender now too. She says she has a male client that wants this cut inspired by Nick Cave, longer shaggy mullet. So anything that you would suggest to keep this having more of a masculine feel?
Okay, this is the way I see it. It's will be the shape. Let's just mention it this way. Let me see. Just step this aside. Let's go for a second at here. Hey guys, if you need to take a picture, I'm just going to step aside, take a picture of the diagram. I know you will probably save it for the future, so I'm just going to step back a quick second, take a screenshot or take a picture with your phone, and we'll continue in a second. Okay. Hey, if you take the picture and I'm in it, make me look skinny. There you go. So let's continue. Answering that question, I'm going to use this right here. When I like it to look feminine, I like to have this curve. Have probably a little volume here on the crown area and make it that slope come in and out. Now, to make it have a more masculine vibe, we'll go strong. Let's just say this line is actually outward. I would like to comb it and just go straight down, not having that little curve on the nape area. Just make it strong and go down. But probably you could also add texture to it and make it a little bit roughed up so it could look strong and have that strong look. I hope I answered your question. So let's fall back to where we were. Did I answer it? Let me know in the chat.
Yeah, dude, I think that's perfect. And, just it's interesting because I think that so many of the lines of what's masculine, what's feminine, all that's being blurred at this point. So a lot of it is looking at the overall exterior shape that your client brings you, right? Like the inspiration is that Nick Cave haircut. So look to that Nick Cave haircut, and like Jorge was showing, it's like, okay, does it stay kind of sculpted to the head? Is it more lean and soft? Or does it have a little bit of blockiness to it? So I think that was well explained.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew, for that. Well, sometimes I think, yes, we could blur the areas, but we still have to define which side of the gray we're working on. And I think that would make a major difference. We could have the same cut, but at the same time, we must understand the shape that we're creating for who we're creating for. So again, like I said, this hair has been sitting a little while, so I'm just going to damp it again. Like I said, with my One United, I'm going to comb it completely forward. So let this sit right here. We're going to be working on the top section. As you can see right here, we're going to do a profile section and straight at the center. Always an advice that I always like to recommend to my fellow hairdressers. When we're working certain sections, I don't like to work sections wider than my comb. This will give me more control of what I'm working, especially when this will be my guideline, right? If I overbring it, sometimes sections will be a little bit, you could have wider, but when you're having wider sections, remember you're inclining the hair to a certain place. So when you incline it, that means when the hair falls back, it's going to be longer than it actually is. So it's something that worked for me. I'd like to work with certain patterns. And this was one of the most effective things that helped me in design, is actually like having certain controls of it. Let me just, a little bit wider than I expected. As you can see, this section is not wider than my comb. I'm going to shift aside so you guys could see. Let me take this light piece right here. Okay, hope you guys could see. All right, let me just, now. Okay, now I'm gonna elevate the hair 90 degrees straight up, but I will need to connect with my back or my crown area. So I'm taking a small piece and this right here, I hope you guys could see it perfectly. Let me just shift aside. You can see the little piece dangling in the back. So that's our connecting part. So one of the techniques I like to use is coming inward from my fingers, cutting outward. So that means in one single movement, I'm going to be cutting, creating some disconnection, but there will be a pattern. There will be a pattern. So I'm cutting, as you can see, I'm sliding out, and I'm closing the shear when I'm coming out. That means I'm doing this movement. While I slide it out, I come back, make sure it's connected. There's still a slight piece. Well, I'm coming, like I mentioned before, from the bottom up and eliminate that piece. Now I have my guideline to continue the section that I was doing. So here I go. I like that. Here I go. Yeah. Hope you guys are having fun. Question. Have you shared this live event of the Girly-Mullet? Hope you have. Now I'm going to come back and release it again. Have my guide. I am cutting it slightly the same curve of the head shape. I'm not cutting it from short to long. I'm cutting it slightly with the curve of the head. So come again, I'm releasing. If I want to add a little bit more texture, I can come in and point cut. Now, this is something I've learned. I'm just going to step a bit aside. Sometimes people go crazy point cutting, and I found out that if my guideline won't be my point cut, actually my guideline would be my fingers. I know that if I go too close, I would have a big hole or a piece that won't rock. So I like to maintain my point cutting right to the angle of my fingers, just to be aware that if there is a symmetry there, there is a line, a visual line that will maintain the cut in place. Move that out, elevate it back up, slightly to the curve of the head, come back, and I'm going to point this cut, this area, and now I have my center section already set. Now, what I'm going to do is, as you see, there's this whole piece already short. I'm going to leave this to the side, and I'm going to, again, jump back to the crown area. So I'm just going to comb it out. I'm just combing it here, just checking everything's in place. The shape that I want is already aligning, so I know where I have to be less or more aggressive when I'm cutting. So now this section, I'm going to pivot to the sides until I reach the top part of the head. So I'm just gonna quick section here. This hair that I'm not gonna be working with, I'm gonna comb it forward because I want to work clean. I want to visually see what I am doing and what I am cutting. So again, let me shift it to the sides. Oh, got tangled there. So I got it to the side. Yeah, I'm dancing with the mannequins. That should be a show. Have it here. There you go, dancing with the mannequins. Saturdays in San Vila. So I set it up. All this excess, let me see if you guys can see it better. All this excess right here that we're not cut, that we don't want, I'm gonna bring it to the back, cut it. Like I mentioned, my point cutting from bottom up, my shears pointing up. Next elevation, right here, second section. What I don't want to cut, I comb it away, boost it back. There we go. See how it's falling, that roundness shape? When we were talking about the Girly-Mullet, see it has this rounded shape. It comes in tight in the nape and then it pops out again. Now we're gonna continue towards the sides. Comb it to the side. Again, comb it forward. Bring the excess of hair that I don't want. And we're gonna cut it away. Point cut upwards to eliminate and create that softness. But at the same time, when we're point cutting, instead of bolt cutting, if you cut it in once with a strong shear, we're point cutting, what are we creating inside of it? We're creating slightly texture. Let's just say, short, this will have you, when you style it, it will be more fun. Why? Because short and long hairs will hold each other. That means the short hair will hold the longest strands, and you could create different shapes and textures to it. So it will have more texture and more fun. And if you like to play with volume, it would be easier then. So this is fun right here. I'm just gonna comb it out. I'm gonna use the corner of the eye right here. I'm gonna create a diagonal forward section. This hair that I don't want, I'm gonna comb it to the side because what I'm gonna be working here is that strong fringe or that strong bangs that we did earlier. Again, pick up here. See the hair that we don't want. Point cut. That one can you guys see me very well there? Type it in the chat if you could see me. There we go. Now we're going to switch sides. Let me see how the comments are going through. Hi, everybody. So I'm going to use the same technique. And here we go, a section, comb it forward. Right in this corner, this is where I'll be cutting on. Elevate it 90 degrees to the side. Use my point cutting from the bottom up. Comb it through just to see where it's forming. Again, repeat the same movement. Comb it forward. Elevate it 90 degrees to the base. That means the section will be towards my chest. I see it right here, my guideline, and I'm cutting it upward. Combing it through just to see I'm maintaining my shape. Now I'm going to go to the corner. There we go. This piece of hair that I won't be cutting, I'm going to comb it through the side. This one, bring it back. See my guideline that's right there beneath. I'm holding my comb with my hand, and I'm point cutting down, up. Wait, this strand goes here. So now if you guys see, I'm putting the hair exactly where it lives. So I can understand that my shape is exactly where I want it to be. Now we're going to sculpt. We're going to do the fringe now. Then we're going to start sculpting the hair and putting those details that we want. That's what I call personalizing the cut for your client. This is very important. Most people like trending cuts, like whatever is the trend cut that in your salon is working on. But sometimes you got to tweak it and move it around for sakes of making that design or that cut for that client, okay? So now that we have, let's comb it all forward. Make that fall right there where we want it. And we're gonna start at the center. Okay, I like to place my hands right in this spot. This is the sweet spot for me. There we go. This is the sweet spot. The bridge of the nose. This is like the perfect place where you rest your hands, where you're gonna make the cut to make that strong, strong fringe right there. This is where we're gonna mark. Okay, so this is, I'm just gonna regroup it, get this out of the way, comb it through, put my fingers, rest them right where the bridge of the nose is, and I'm going to vertically point cut. There we go. Now connect the sides. We're going to connect the sides. Here we go. Make sure when you comb it, I always like to place the hair where it lives. Now we're point cutting to make that strong fringe. There we go. Use the opposite side. So I'm just going to flip it a bit. Comb out with the hair that we don't want. Use our guideline. And there we go. We release it. Or detach these sections. There we go. Now this is the fun part. This is where we use our creativity or our blessings as a hairdresser. What do we want to do with these pieces? This part, this belongs to the bang, so let me just correct this part. So here is where I bring one of my favorite tools, my Sandvila razor. I enjoy this and I like to use it as a pencil to scope out what I want. So I just come here and just start giving details to what I want. I want this nice piece to be like elevated, and you start carving the hair just as you want. You create those details, make them shorter, longer, pronounce what you want. I'm going to shift it to the other side. Very important, comb the hair to its natural fall or where the hair lives. As you can see, I want to get a good glance in front of it. And there we're almost done. Now, one of the things, like I mentioned, I like the back part, but I really don't enjoy that it looks bulky or make it a strong line. So what I like to do is, let me see if I can turn it around perfectly so you guys can see better. Here we go. I comb it and I make S shapes. I'm gonna do like an S shape with a pencil, just to create separation. So that means I'm gonna just to break that line at the end. Grab it again and make those designs, make those cuts. Fluff it out, play with it, see how you want it, and you almost got it. Now, my last section. There we go. Now, at the top, this is something I like to play with, especially with my razor, is I like to comb it to a direction. Let's just say I comb it completely to the side here.
Hey, Jorge,
and I
can I
want
interrupt
to
you for a second?
Go ahead.
Just because we had two questions, one from Rosie, one from Gabby, about just razors with curly hair. If your client had curly hair, would you approach this differently than with the razor? Because I know a lot of us have been taught like you shouldn't use a razor on curly hair. So could you just talk about that?
For sure. Okay, let's pretend that this strand is curled. It's curled. You have to understand the difference between a curling pattern and a straight pattern. Okay, one of the things that I really like to do when I'm cutting curled hair is see where its movement's at. Let's just say if I stretch it and then I push it slightly back in so I could see that S pattern. So when I use my razor, I'm not gonna cut. Let me see how I could explain this better. Okay, let me do this. Perfect. So when I pushed it back, that curl pattern, I'm not gonna cut it in the outside. See, I'm not gonna cut it nor here, nor here. I'm gonna cut it in the center. Why? Because the hair, when I cut it, I like putting butter on bread. Soft, that's the best analogy I could think of. Butter and bread. So I'm gonna go softly inward, and I'm gonna be cutting. I'm not gonna make a strong, robust movement. I'm gonna go softly. Comb it back. See if it created, I need to cut more, then you go back in. And you just cut in the inside. Why? If you cut on the outside, usually if you cut on the spiral, sometimes the spiral could pop out. Just grab a curl, and if you cut it straight or bluntly in the outside, you'll see that you disrupted the pattern and it opened up. So it's gonna flourish like a flower. And I know you don't want that. So try to cut it in the inwards, but go slow. Don't go strong strokes, just go soft strokes in the center. And you be eliminating all the weight or all the length that you want. As you can see, we're almost done. Oh, I forgot. I'm sorry, guys. Got caught up in the curling. So you could comb it to the side, and you could take your razor, slightly, not touching the scalp, but you just make these lines to create nice separation on the hair shaft. I know you people get scared. Oh, if I cut your client, be confident of your craft. Be confident of yourself. You know you can't go way in, just go slightly on top. If she has fine hair, well, then you be slightly more careful that you don't get it too close. I comb it to the opposite side. And I do the same movement. Just softly on top, like if you were putting slightly bread on butter. And then you start all these nice natural curl patterns or wave patterns on the hair pop out. Now, when we're gonna dry it, I'm gonna use my Samvila Artist Series flat brush. And I will be using the new Samvila blow dryer, Vision. I'm so in love. So if you're following me on Instagram, I know you've seen a lot of times that I'm just taking pictures because I'm really, really in love with this blow dryer. Reason is why I'm so in love with it. It's because I'm accustomed to a little bit heavier blow dryers. And I was a little bit skeptical because this is a very lightweight blow dry. And now this baby got power, and I really like it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna give it flat direction. I don't want it to be polished. I want it to have the direction of where the hair needs to fall. That means if I want it to fall forward, what I'm going to do is just give it that direction with the flat brush, and behind I will just give it that direction with a blow dryer. What I want is just the fact of the matter to give it a direction, the hair to fall in a certain place. So I'll be coming here, slightly on top, just giving it direction to where I want it to fall. As you can see, I just wanted the hair to go to the face. What I like about this flat brush, it has a combined also. It's just not one single extent, it has combined also, so this makes it polishes up a bit the hair. When I'm blow drying, you see there the brush has a slight curve. So what I like to do is just come in and smooth it out. Just give it that direction, like start the brush in one point and then just run it through. Just like smoothing it out, putting it in place. Let's step to the other side. Place it right here. Here, like it's a here, like on the crown area, it's a female cut. So I like to give it a little push, a little body shape. Elevate it. And go tight to the nape. This type of cut doesn't have to be perfectly polished or perfectly set. I like the texture of it. And it's kind of, I washed it, I blew dry the excess water, and I'm going out. So this is the type of cut that you want that way. And the perfect range of size. Just give it direction. As you can see. And that will be it with the blow dryer. So you grab your shears, you see those little strands that just popped out? It could happen to you too. So grab your shears and just eliminate them right there. Now you see the pieces that you want to eliminate. Start crafting that style and adjust it for your clients. Make it their own. Make it their own style, and make them just mold it to the cut that they want. If you could see, I'm coming from the back forward, and I'm not closing the shear fully. I'm just like Pac-Man, not closing it, just going to create that softness. There we go. I'm shifting sides. Sorry, I get in front of the camera. Repeat the same thing. Grab it. And you start caving in those pieces that you don't want, making it this cut her own. Come again, same thing. Just have that natural feel, natural texture. Now, usually people don't use it as a styling product. I love to use it as a styling product. As you can see, I'm using one outshine, making it fall, rubbing it in my hands, and just rough it up a bit. But outshine is gonna give me that texture, that natural shine. and it looks smoothly out. There we go. Look at how sweet and ready to hit the streets, if we could call that in this times. So there we go. Hope you guys are loving it. You throw it to the side, flip it, crush it. You could comb this behind the ear. Leave it like that. Just play with it. Use your creativity. Now, I started doing that, and then I popped out playing last night with it. I popped out something like this.
Whoa, that's awesome.
It's the same design, but just style different. You know, this is about what you can do, what you can figure it out. Just play with hair. Just have fun with it. Hair is a fabric that you could manipulate and enjoy. And here in San Vila, we just want to give you tools that you could improve your styling. It's not what we exactly say. We just want you to be creative.
Yeah, beautiful. Can you show them the other pre-done that you had too? So they see the two different styling options.
So I use this same way.
Mm-hmm.
I styled it. This one just I chipped it a bit more at the front. Just have different textures. Just play with it, man. Have fun with the hair. Enjoy your day and get creative. I think we gave you enough tools. Here in San Vila, we give you tools so you could get creative with hair and create awesome shapes.
Absolutely. Yeah, Jorge, what a great set. And, you know, one of the things that you did similar to Amanda is with building that foundation, but then also building so much texture and movement within it too. And it's great to see that kind of balance of, okay, here's some foundations, here's some fundamentals, but really bringing it back to the fact that so much of what makes something special is in the details, and it can be minimal too. I mean, you didn't spend 20, 25, 30 minutes blow drying and flat ironing and all this different stuff. I mean, there was a lot of simplicity in there too.
The cool thing is that it's kind of inspired in what we hair texture here in the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. Most people don't have enough time. Like I heard somebody there said a cool summer vibe cut. Exactly. People just want to go to the beach, have fun, style and go. If you create a good shape or a good cut, clients don't have to blow dry it and they could last longer. So if you do an awesome cut, you know, they could walk out, summer vibes, just a little styling product, not a lot of polishing, and ready to hit the beach. When you come out, hey, you still have a good cut. So This is all.
So best place for them to connect with you, Jorge?
Yes, you could visit me or connect with me at Instagram at Jorge Does Hair, as you can see right here. As you can see right there, guys, and any doubts, any questions that you still may have, and you just wanted like a good question that I didn't answer, feel free to hit me up, and for sure, I will answer your questions.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jorge. I'm going to pop you back into the green room, and I'll talk to you again soon. But from all of us here at Zambia, we appreciate you, my friend.
Much love.